Okay, guys, for this section of the top swing training for accounts payable, we're going to go over how to cut a check. First things first, you'll need to select your community. So you're going to go to portfolio, hit communities, and then you select the community in which you want to cut the check for. So for me, I'm going to go to LaSalle, and then you're going to go to accounts payable. Scroll down to, well, you got to enter the invoice first before you're able to cut the check. So you're going to go to enter bills, search the vendor. So I'm going to use me again as an example. Scroll down up until you see the vendor, which is Tyrese Powell right here. Select my name. For the bill type, okay, so you have multiple types of how you want to cut the check. But for this section, if you hit bill, just bill by itself, this means that you're going to cut multiple invoices, but it's just going to generate on one big check for that specific vendor. Versus if you hit bill separate check, I'll have 5 invoices and I say, hey, I want 5 different checks, because all my invoices are for different purposes or different references. So you'll hit bill separate. That way I can get 5 separate checks instead of one big check. But in this case, we're just going to use bill for now as the test run. You're going to scroll down, put in your invoice number that's on the invoice. So I'll just go with 1, 2, 3, 4. The reference, I'll say holiday bonus. Always double check what bank account you're cutting it from. Most checks are cut from the operating account, but your manager might instruct you if you should change the bank account to the reserves or special assessment. It just depends on the invoice. You're gonna make sure you double check your dates. I want my check to be cut today. I can make the due date today, or it can be a further a date in the future. But I'm gonna go ahead and use today's date. Invoice amount, let's say $1. Now for the bill distribution, normally when you're the property manager, they'll let you know what GL code you should use. But in this case, normally holiday bonuses, they tell you to code it to office supplies or just supplies. So you're gonna scroll down until you see it. I see supplies right here. You're gonna click it, then you hit OK. Now, as an example, if you're going to go ahead and, let's say, one of my checks are for holiday bonuses and I have another invoice out there for tree trimming, for example, you can go ahead and split that up into 2 different GL codes. Let's say the total is 400, 200 is for the holiday bonus, and 200 is for the tree trimming job I did. You can go ahead and add a second GL distribution. That way the invoice gets coded correctly. So you come over here to the little plus arrow, and then you notice there's a second line along with a second amount that I can add right here. You'll go ahead and hit the folder, and then you can select a different type of GL again on this side. So let's go ahead and do a test run. Tree trimming right here. You'll go down, hit OK. Now you have a second distribution. And then I'll go ahead and divide that up like I told you guys. 50 cents for the supplies, and then another 50 cents, because it depends on what the invoice amount is over here. So like I told you guys earlier, 400. Let's go ahead and do the 400. For my bonus, we're gonna do 200 here, and then the remaining balance on the invoice will be $200 again. So that's just an example of how you can do the bill distribution for the GL codes. But in this case, we're not gonna do that one right now. So are you sure you want to delete this bill distribution? Yes. Now we're gonna go ahead and change the sum again back to $1. And then you can scroll down here, attachment gallery. This is where you can upload a copy of the invoice. You'll just hit select files and you can pull up the invoice from the saved files you have on your computer. Now you can scroll up. Now before posting, if you go ahead and post, then you know this is just a one-time bill or check that you're cutting. But if you go ahead and post and add new, you're gonna cut a check for more than one invoices. So for this case, I'm only doing one invoice. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just post this one-time payment. And there it is. Now on the screen, you'll notice it shows you that the transaction shows posted. Now we're gonna go ahead and cut the check. So you're gonna come over to accounts payable, go down to make payments. Here you'll notice the bill number, just what we entered as the invoice number, 1234. You double check to ensure this is it. Holiday bonus is your reference. So you're gonna go ahead and say, okay, this is the correct one that I want to cut right now. You click the little plus sign to select the invoice. You go over to actions, and then you go down to make payments. Now you go down to the template, double check to make sure that you click the check template, top check template 1, 2, top check template 2. That is the correct check size that will be a valid check to cash out. Go ahead and hit generate. Okay, I got it. Then you go to AP activity, and then the very first one here, AP 1624, you click that, view this check, and then here's a copy of the check that you just generated. You can go ahead and print that. Always make sure you set it's set to default, but normally it should be set to 100%. That way the check comes out properly. Then you'll go ahead and hit print, and then that's how you generate the check.